Hello, welcome back to the channel. So I thought I would do a wee video talking a bit about the new epic battles coming out from Warlord Games. So epic battles, Battle of Waterloo. I didn't want to jump in and do a video straight away till I had a good look and a think about it and actually show off something that isn't just the pictures off the website. So I don't have any of the Warlord Napoleonic miniatures coming out, but I thought I'd show some stuff off with the American Civil War. As you know, I've got a massive American Civil War. My Antietam project is still ongoing, so I hope to refight the Antietam battle. And actually part of the Warlord Napoleonics coming out has got me inspired to kind of crack on through and finish off the Antietam project. I'm doing both sides, so it's a bit of a big project. And yeah, I kind of knew commercially that Waterloo Napoleonics Epic Battles was probably the best shout for Warlord Games. In my heart of hearts, I kind of want English Civil War, but I do love Napoleonic Wargaming, as you might have seen with some of my other stuff in the channels. At the moment I have 28mm and 6mm Napoleonics, and I definitely want to do epic battles. One of the interesting things about the epic battles Napoleonics is some of my pals that weren't so interested in the smaller scale miniatures have decided to get involved, and they've got excited by it as well. So I will hopefully try and find this interview link, but there was a really good interview with John Stallard talking about it. And what he said with the American Civil War was he wanted to do much in plastic, but the guys who sell the miniatures, they weren't into it, the salesmen of the company. So he could only really get away with doing one plastic sprue, but he wanted to do more. So obviously the metals comes out with the Zouaves, Iron Brigade, Cavalry, etc. So anyway, the success of the American Civil Wars meant that he's able to deliver, or Warlord Games are able to deliver, the range that they want for the Napoleonic Waterloo in plastic. So the first set of sprues planned are all in plastic, and he's said he's got 11 sprues planned. So as we've seen, we've got British and French light cavalry, British and French heavy cavalry, British and French infantry. So that's 6 sprues in total. It also said that there will be 2 Prussian sprues, so I'm going to presume a cavalry sprue and an infantry sprue. Then there's a Highlanders and Skirmishing rifle brigade. It wasn't brigade back then, was it? Rifles. And a French Imperial Guard sprue, which takes us, I think, to 10. And he didn't say what the 11th sprue is, so speculations start now. Well, what will be the key differences? So for the American Civil War, I've been using 3 stands for my regiments. I think with Antietam, just so I can fit it all on a 6-foot table, I'm actually going to be using 2 stands for regiment. But officially, Warlord gives you 5 stands for your regiments in the American Civil War. Now, for the Napoleonics, you're going to get 4 stands. And with 4 stands, you can do a couple of key differences between the American Civil War and the Napoleonic conflict. So straight up is you've got your lines. 4 lines. I mean, one of the things I do like is the odd number, so I can have my standards in the middle. But what you'll notice is the command element is kind of off to one side, so it looks more in the middle. So you got your line as your basic formation that we know of from the American Civil War. We've also got a column of march. And actually I saw some people asking on Facebook page, how do you do marching up a road? Well, actually, if my road's only a year big, then I don't mind it being over. As long as in this column and as long as the road's in the middle of that formation, I don't mind them marching on a road. So that is the 2 formations. The other formations you get is the French getting an attack column, which will be something like this. So even though it's called a column, it's still quite wide. So that is your attack column. And again, imagine with your command element towards this side, looks nice and in the middle. So attack columns are brutal in Black Powder Napoleonics. One of the things, if you are going to move from the American Civil War to the Napoleonics, is close combat happens a lot more in the Napoleonics, and the attack columns smash in. And I really like the game. It's a tense game between setting up your supports and your line if you're the British, with the French attack columns, picking the fights and going in where the odds are best. Now, the other thing about Napoleonic warfare is the cavalry take a lot more role on the battlefield than they did during the American Civil War. I mean, you see that straight away in the fact that Warlord are doing 2 sets of cavalry for each side, the light cavalry and the heavy cavalry. So infantry have a formation called square, which they can adopt to hold off against cavalry. So a square formation, that's going to look cool. I can imagine several of those formed up for infantry. That's looking awesome. That's looking exactly how I'd want a square to form and look like. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the Napoleonic epic battles. What's really cool is looking at the army starter sets, certainly for the French, adding another brigade pack of infantry, and that is my 28mm armies down in 10mm. I tend to do like 1 of every cavalry regiment and then a good corps of infantry. So a couple of other things that came up in forums was, obviously we looked at, for the American Civil War, we looked at sort of the Callistra models being a good scale match. As you see there, because I was using 3 stands per regiment, I found some Callistra front rank for command. To my knowledge at the moment, there isn't really a good mix between other scales and the Warlord's miniatures. However, the more I've delved into this, certainly for the infantry, I don't think there is anything to compare at the moment. So for example, I had a Union army already in Callistra, so I've rebased it to match the basing conventions. So if we look at the Warlord compared to the infantry, the Warlord just has a kind of look and a size to itself. You know, I'm not buying miniatures and that. They're not individual miniatures, they're strips of miniatures. And actually they have a look and a presence on the battlefield that these guys are quite dense, quite packed, this kind of firing line. But the Warlord stuff, for me, just gives me the look that I want from regiments. And if it shows up better, some of my Zouaves. So, I mean, John Stallard does talk about kind of where he got the idea from and watching regiments, and for me, this is what I want my regiments to look like. I mean, I have rebased my Union Callistra that was already painted to match it, and it's helped me get my forces together quicker. But yeah, in terms of sort of the infantry, I wouldn't want to buy more Callistra infantry to match these guys because they don't match, or Pendraken or Peter Pig. I mean, I did, fortunately I did have Union Cavalry already done. But you know what? Now we're getting plastic cavalry. Plastic cavalry from Warlord games, if it's going to be £25 a box of cavalry, it's going to be cheap as chips. You're going to get 4 units in there, 60 cavalry models, and a battery of guns. That's equivalent to 5 packs from Pendraken, so it makes it cheaper than Pendraken. As an example, actually 15mm models. I mean, you're looking at what, 3 or 4 cavalry for £3. Boom! Again, in metal, there's no comparison there. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Waterloo epic battles. I'm going to be starting off with the French. One of my friends is going to be starting off with the British. We've already talked about what we're going to do with the XS rifle sprues we're going to get. The British standard line infantry comes with the 8 strips for your normal infantry, and then you've got 2 strips of riflemen. So we'll probably look at, maybe he's looking at some German Jaegers and that sort of thing for the riflemen. Certainly we're not too fussed by the fact we might end up with a lot more rifle strips than we need. Looking forward to the skirmishing rifles and the Highlanders. I think there's pictures of skirmishing rifles have been put out somewhere. Hopefully you'll pick up some cavalry sprues coming with the next Warlord Illustrated and get them built up and painted. Certainly I'm looking for the French ones. One of the things I've just done with 28mm is use the Carboneer heads on French Dragoons to make some Dutch carbineers, or Belgian carbineers. Dutch ones had the sort of hat, and the Belgian ones actually had the sort of carbineer helmet. So yeah, wee bit converting and playing around with that, and I look forward to seeing how they paint up and stuff. You know what, the warlord stuff that I've done, because I've done some zouaves and loads of the infantry, I've really enjoyed painting them. They just have a sort of cleanness to them that at the moment, when I've been doing some Confederates from Callistra, the metals just don't quite have. But anyway, I'm looking forward to Waterloo Epic Battles. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you've got any questions about it, give me a shout. Obviously, as more stuff comes around, I'll do more videos. I am got a couple of projects on the go at the moment. Boat Action Korea. Get my Epic Battles American Civil War stuff done so I can fight that Antietam battle. And like I say, I look forward to having a chat with you about things. And I'll catch you again. Goodbye.